Hello, my name is Daria, and today I'll be talking about cultural awareness and cultural sensitivity. So first of all, we're going to compare and contrast these two definitions. Well, cultural awareness is a person's understanding of the differences between themselves and people from other cultures. Furthermore, cultural awareness means a person understands how cultural similarities and differences affect their behaviors. Cultural sensitivity means that a person understands cultural differences and doesn't assign them value. But cultural awareness and cultural sensitivity are both important. These two ways of thinking go hand in hand, and cultural awareness and cultural sensitivity are things people learn through training and reflection. There is a huge difference between these two definitions, but they are more similar than they appear. Actually, it's everything about accepting all those cultures and trying to understand their feelings, their traditions, their customs. But we as a social community look for integration, and sometimes we struggle when confronting a different culture or religion or maybe a language. So, what about cultural sensitivity creates behavior guidelines and changes behaviors for good? Cultural sensitivity helps people understand how they can change their actions in a positive way. A culturally sensitive employee understands the difference between a cultures consider different things appropriate. Cultural sensitivity training lays out how people can interact. In addition, being culturally sensitive means you are aware of your implicit biases. An implicit bias is an unintended prejudice created by your social environment. A person who is aware of their biases will be your first for good. Different cultures communicate differently. People speak thousands of languages around the world. When people are native speakers of different languages, people need to be patient. Bilingual people still forget words and phrases. We do. So here's a very interesting example of how important cultural awareness and cultural sensitivity is. So employers in a different countries evaluate their employees differently. For example, a female employee from France is working with an American boss. It is time for the employee's annual performance review. The American boss downplays her negatives and accentuates her positives. In France, bosses only focus on negative attributes for performance reviews. Thus, the French employee thinks her performance is good. In fact, the American boss does not like the employee's performance. American bosses try to soften negative ideas with many positive ones. So, how to become more culturally aware? Cultural awareness is the understanding that our own culture differs from one individual and group to the next. And specifically from our target language, being culturally aware enables us to communicate with people more effectively, beyond words and grammar by understanding their culture. Language plays a huge part in building cultural awareness. Being fluent in a foreign language, however, doesn't necessarily mean that you are culturally savvy. This is because there are nuances and a whole range of meanings for words that native speakers use that you can't learn in school. You can only learn them by understanding the culture. So, what about the cultural awareness journeys? Too much emphasis has been placed on developing cultural awareness that the key driver has been neglected. Our cultural identity, after all, how are we supposed to understand other cultures if we do not know ourselves? So therefore, the journey to cultural awareness starts with understanding our cultural identity, a multifaceted and rather complex concept. Understanding the many aspects that make up our cultural identity helps us acknowledge and understand others. Being self-aware also prevents us from projecting our values into others, and the process helping us relate more effectively across cultural lines. Having the willingness to accept that the journey towards greater enlightenment is worthwhile and valuable, and having an open-minded attitude helps us become more aware of the diversity of the people around us. By talking about and focusing on the strengths and benefits that diversity brings, we heighten our cultural awareness and bring change to the workplace, organizational climate, and the community. Thank you.